Big Astros news heading into spring. Yainer Diaz wins his arbitration fight, and the ripple effects from Tarik Skubal's massive ruling could change how teams pay elite talent. And trade buzz with Boston and Houston's roster picture is shifting fast. Let's get going right now.
Yainer Diaz, this is Locked On Astros.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Astros, your daily Astros podcast. Here are your hosts, Eric the Man Huysman and Brett H-Town Wheelhouse Chancey.
We are Locked On Houston Astros, and we hope that you join us for a daily Locked On Astros podcast. My name is Eric Huysman. He is Brett Chancey. We are the Locked On Astros podcast. We hope that you make us your first listen. Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcasts, go and check us out. We have over 18 years of podcasting experience, and we have been with you all offseason throughout whatever Dana Brown has decided to do, and we'll be with you throughout the rest of the offseason and spring training, trying to figure out what the next step is. And I know that JP France was put on waivers the other day, but he is now back in AAA. We'll talk about that. Yainer Diaz, he won his arbitration case. How much did he get, and what does this mean for his future? And there's Framber Valdez. He is no longer a target for the Houston Astros. I'm pretty sure he was never a target for the Astros after last year. But Skubal, wow, that dude won his arbitration case. And like you said, that's going to set the market for not just him in the future, but also it's going to set the market for a future arbitration case. Yeah. And the Astros do get an extra draft pick. And there's more Red Sox chatter, this time from some of the bigger names out there. We'll go and talk about this and more on the Locked On Astros podcast.
Yeah, a friend of the show, Yainer Diaz, talked to him a couple weeks ago. I will have a bonus show that I'll be putting out tonight. Yainer Diaz is one of the guys that I got the interview. Look, I was encouraged by the things he said, the things he talked about, working his tail off in winter ball this year. And I know he's been really working on that swing. So, look, Astros faithfuls, let's have a little bit of confidence in Yainer Diaz. Let this kid go through his struggles and come back and win the hearts of Astros fans again. He got $4.5 million, Eric. The Astros filed for $3 million. He got $4.5 million. It's not the 32 that Tarik Skubal got, but it's $1.5 million more than what the Astros were wanting to pay him. So it's good for Yainer. And you know what? Look, maybe those dollars motivate him. And if you and I know Yainer, because we've had this relationship with him the last couple of years, he takes pride in his work. He takes pride in what he does on the field. And I know that he's not satisfied with what went down in 2025.
And I didn't know the Astros have typically been a file and a trial type of team where they don't really, once they I guess, miss the mark ahead of the arbitration deadline, they just go ahead and they try to reach that agreement. They did so with Isaac Brady's, but the fact that they did, Diaz won his arbitration case. A lot of people are like, well, he had a bad season last year. His defensive skills are declining. His bat was declining a little bit, but he still did enough last year to for arbitrator to say, yes, we think that he's worth $4.5 million versus the $3 million. There's no in between. It's a one or the other one. So the arbitrator ruled with Diaz in the situation. And I know a lot of people think, well, he's just not a good catcher. According to the Shredder, or I don't know if they still do that, but MLB Network basically said he's the 7th best catcher out there. Now that looks at defensive, that looks at offense. So it looks at the whole package. And I know that he's still young. He's still got some room to grow. But I think that the team will go as good as Diaz goes. Altuve and also the health of Alvarez is a big key to the season. So Diaz is very important. When he was hitting, especially in his first couple of seasons with the Astros, this offense was pretty dynamic.
Well, hey, maybe as I typed in Yainer Diaz, Maybe this is a sign of things to come, Eric. On Baseball Savant, the picture that comes up when you type in Yainer Diaz is not Yainer Diaz. It's Aaron Judge. Maybe there's some foreshadowing here, Eric. Maybe they're trying to tell us that we've got a great season in our future. Look, if you go back to 2023, 282, OPS of 846, and you go all the way to 2025, 256, OPS of 701. The difference is only 3 home runs difference. The hits, he had 139 hits more in 2025 than he did in 2023. But he also had 200 more plate appearances in 2025. So there's a caveat. Look, Yainer Diaz is the starting catcher. Yainer Diaz is a student of the game. I believe that he's going to have a better year. Remember, he's 27 years old. And I'm sorry, baseball fans, but if you are selling a guy that had a really, I mean, he had a bad year last year. But if you're going to take that 1 year and you're just going to just say, kick the can down the road, forget Yainer Diaz, that makes no sense. This guy, I believe, with a healthy roster around him, Eric, can do some damage. And that is going to be one of the keys.
Unfortunately for the Dominican Republic, he will not be representing their team in the World Baseball Classic. According to multiple reports, this kind of came out of nowhere. But once again, insurance would not cover him to participate. So the only players that will be participating in the World Baseball Classic is Jeremy Pena. You also have Zach Denzo, and there's one more player. Who's the other player?
So Yainer Diaz is not going to play? I thought he was in there. Okay, he's not.
No. According to reports, he is not going to participate. So it was Denzo, and there's one more player. I just can't think of the name. I'll look it up in a second. But
I thought it was Jeremy Pena. Did you
Jeremy
say Jeremy Pena?
Yeah, I said Jeremy Pena.
Okay.
Yeah, so Jeremy Pena will be definitely playing. So we'll see what's happening. Oh, it's Shea Whitcomb.
Shea Whitcomb.
Yeah. So he'll be participating. So those are 3
Shea
Astros.
Whitcomb. Okay, here's a quiz. Do you know what country Shea Whitcomb is playing for? Don't look.
South Korea.
Dang it, you looked. There's no way you knew that. There's no way you knew that.
Yes, I totally knew it. I had no help at all. I didn't get help. I didn't phone a friend.
Oh, Linda Coy helped you. Oh, man. Sorry. I was looking away from the screen. I was trying to stump you, Eric.
Well, you didn't do a good job there. But apparently there are about 600 players across 20 rosters for the 2026 World Baseball Classic. 190 of them are on the 40-man rosters. 306 of them are in the MLB system. So there's going to be a lot of MLB players that will be participating. Unfortunately, for a lot of people that want to go see Altuve and some Carlos Correa play, they're not going to be participating. And I know that JP France, he kind of has a I don't want to say a cult following, but a lot of people like watching him. He was kind of a story coming up, but JP France was designated for assignment and he did clear waivers. So he was optioned down to AAA, and he got an invite to spring camp. So he'll be another piece to the puzzle down in AAA. If they need another starter at some point, they can rely on him. This is not the end for JP France, but I think the Astros probably still like JP France, but they figured that he would probably clear waivers at this point.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing. It's a lower cost, maybe high reward kind of thing. I don't know what JP France will be able to offer this year, but if he touches anywhere close, like you talked about, where he was when he came in and when he was like the reliable one when everybody was getting hurt, then you want that, right? You've got a plethora of guys that the Astros will be looking at, and Joe Espada and Dana Brown are both, what have you done for me lately in spring training? Very, very much so. JP France lights it up. I'm not saying he makes it in the rotation opening day, but he is a guy that you're like, all right, next man up, JP is going to be that guy. You need those guys. You need him to be dependable. So if he's with the Astros, you might as well go ahead and try your hand. I thought that maybe he might get picked up, but I think with the injuries and things like that, that's probably why he didn't get picked up. But it's not a bad move for the Astros. Again, he gets the invite to big league camp, so that's good.
All right, guys, let's go ahead and talk some more about former Astros. JP France is still technically Astro, but one former Astro just cashed in. We'll talk about who that is and how does it help the Houston Astros. We'll talk about that next on the Locked On Astros podcast.
Hiring just isn't about finding someone who is willing to take the job. It's about finding the right person with the right background who can actually help your business move forward. And if you want candidates who match what you're looking for, Indeed Sponsored Jobs is the move. Because instead of hoping the right person stumbles across your post, Indeed helps you match with quality candidates by boosting job listings to the people who fit your special criteria like skills, certifications, and location. If I were hiring, I wouldn't just want someone who can help. I would want someone with real experience that can jump right in. That's what I like about Indeed. You can get specific and target exactly what you need. It saves time because you're spending less energy sorting through mismatches and which job sponsors or the post you sit there and see and you look through. Well, look, start today. I can tell you this, in the minute that we've been talking, companies like yours have made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with Indeed Sponsored Jobs. Listeners of this show will get $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. That's Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring, do it the right way with Indeed. Milo, hush.
Hey, guys, thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day, whether it's on YouTube. Go and subscribe to us. Go and make it first listen. Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast, go and check us out.
Did you hear that?
Part of the Everydayers Club. All you have to do is just go ahead and go to lockedonastros.supercast.com, and for as little as $5 a month or $50 for the year, you can get access to Discord server, get access to ad-free version, and if you upgrade to the all-access version, which is my favorite, you get access to subtext where you can send messages to Brett and I throughout the day. We can respond to you, and you get a daily newsletter. You get discounts to merchandise. Just so many different benefits of joining the Everydayer Club. So I know that Astros fans want their players to stay with the team forever, like Jose Altuve, but that's not always going to be the case. You're going to have a lot of players come and go. And before we talk about Tarik Skubal, let's go ahead and talk about Big Elephant in the Room. But Adam Wexler put this tweet out, and I know you're going to talk about it, but there are of the top 13 contracts out there by AAV, 4 of them are former Astros. You have Kyle Tucker, was number 2 with $60 million per season. You got Framber Valdez with is number 7, 38.3. We'll talk about that contract in a second. Garrett Cole, $36 million, is number 10. And at number 13 is Alex Bregman at $35 million. So go and tell us a little bit about Framber Valdez. How much was his contract and where did he land?
Well, $115 million for 3 years with the Tigers. He reunites with AJ Hinch, who managed him the first 2 years of his career. A more volatile Framber, so maybe a more mature Framber. Framber and AJ Hinch. You know, AJ Hinch is kind of like that sports psychologist. Maybe he's the guy that kind of helps him keep things locked in. I mean, this 1-2 punch of Skubal and Valdez is insane. The question is, does Skubal stay in Detroit all season? Does he get moved at the trade deadline? Does he get traded in spring training? Look, I think Tigers fans are hoping that they're there for a full season because that will be one heck of a deal. Eric, you had mentioned all these former Astros getting this money Tucker, Valdez, Cole, Bregman, and even I forgot earlier, George Springer. If you take all these guys' contracts right now and combine them, that's $194 million. If you put that on top of where the Astros are at $243 million, that's going to be a $446 million payroll. And I jokingly tweeted out, and I put the /S for sarcasm and said, we could have had all these guys if Jim Crane wasn't so cheap. But look, these former Astros are getting paid. But setting the market and setting the gold standard for arbitration cases for elite talent, the price just went up on every single player. And since an arbiter ruled in the favor of Skubal, that means the rest of these players. And you know what? Skubal's happy. Skubal's not only happy that he got 32, but he's really happy that Fromber got as much as he got. Because when it's all said and done, whenever Skubal signs a big contract and everybody assumes he's going to be in Dodger blue, he's going to be making a whole lot more than Fromber Valdez. So he's like, thanks, Frams, for helping me out because you just made me a $50 million pitcher.
Well, that's also going to be a pretty good 1-2 punch out there. It's going to make the Tigers a pretty good team, especially with that young lineup. And I think overall it's going to be pretty good. I know Jacob deGrom, he had the biggest raise from an arbitration eligible pitcher, $9.6 million in 2019. It jumped from 7.4 to 17 million in with the Mets. If you're talking about the previously highest for arbitration eligible pitcher, that was David Price with 19.75. That was back in 2015 with the Tigers as well. So you would think that the Tigers would have tried to work out some agreement, maybe try to meet in the middle so they didn't have to kind of meet, pay the entire thing. The Tigers only offered the 19. Of course, he wanted 32. But I guess just the arbitrators just said, hey, you won 2 straight Cy Youngs. We think that this evaluation of probably $40 million per season. So the Tigers are actually getting a discount with that $32 million for this season. So I think that you're going to see a lot of these pitching contracts on the rise. And so if you're thinking that the Astros are going to go out there and all of a sudden start spinning with these big boys, and I don't really see the Tigers as a big boy, but I don't see Jim Crane investing in pitchers like he might have in the past.
I don't think the Tigers saw them putting out $51 million for 2 pitchers going into this season. I just don't think they saw that. You're right. The Astros are not going to go over the luxury tax threshold.
Yes. They might be doing it come to trade deadline when maybe they're in the hunt and Jim Crane's like, you know what? If we have a chance to become a champion again, then maybe they'll go ahead and get the job done. But right now, spring training, you don't know what's going to happen. Jim Crane just wants to play it on the safe side. And that's what he's done the past 3 seasons. And he's made it very clear that, hey, I'm not afraid to go over the CBT, but I just want to make sure that we have a situation where I know it's a good investment.
Yeah, exactly. And it's about sustainability. And the Astros don't have the liquid assets and the funds that the teams like the Dodgers, the Blue Jays have the funds, the Mets have the funds. And when it comes down to, it's about return on investment. When you get to these very lofty payrolls, the expectation becomes a bad word because it's the expectations that bite you in the rear end, right? Because if the Dodgers don't win a back-to-back World Series, it's a failure of a season. Getting to the NLCS or getting to the World Series is not enough. They have to win. They have to win a 3rd straight. Now, the Tigers, do they have to go out and win if they've got Skubal and Valdez? Well, the Tigers better get in the World Series. If they got these 2 guys, and if they don't trade Skubal at the trade deadline, which to me, the only reason why they don't, Eric, is because they will probably demand too much and teams will not bite on it because they don't want to sell their future, mortgage their future for half a season for a guy that probably won't stay. So look, use these guys up as much as you can. When Tarik Skubal leaves, you've got Fromber for the next 2 years. Well, he can opt out after 2027, but you've got him for 3 years on paper. AJ Hinch is there. Him and Hinch could work well together. You can bring other pieces in. You know what I'm saying? So the Tigers, I think, put themselves in the lead for the AL Central. Everybody's like, it's a 3-team race. No, it's pretty much the Tigers right now and the Indians and maybe the Royals. But the Tigers, I think, are the clear favorite.
Yes, we'll have to go and continue this conversation because there is a tie to the Astros. Like, what do they get because Framber Valdez went to the Tigers? We'll talk about that next. Hey, Astros fans, it's a stressful time this year. I don't mean baseball season. I mean tax season, and you don't want the taxes to take over your life. This year, TurboTax is making it easier than ever to just hand things off and move on with your day. With TurboTax full service, you can have the taxes done for you by a trusted local expert, start to finish, without the stress or guesswork. Instead of spending hours trying to figure out forms, you can meet with a local TurboTax expert in person or connect online. They handle everything from W-2s to self-employment forms and work to get you every deduction. You can upload your documents, go about your day, and get updates right in the TurboTax app. It's a huge time saver and gives you peace of mind without knowing that expert is handling it. For a limited time, you can just have your taxes done by a local TurboTax expert for just $150 all in. If your TurboTax expert didn't file for you last year, just file by February 28th. Take taxes off your plate and get back to your life. Visit turbotax.com/LockedOnAstros to book your your appointment today. Hey guys, thank you for making us your first listen. Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast, go and check us out. Go and join the Everydayers Club. Just go to lockedonastros.supercast.com and go and be part of the discussion outside of the podcast hours. So I know that a lot of people have been like, why are you talking Tigers? There's a kind of a parallel to the whole Framber Valdez. Of course, he's an ex-Astro now. And I remember Dana Brown was basically talking, well, we haven't had any discussions about bringing him back. I'm pretty sure there was never any discussion about bringing him back. I think that the idea was he was gone in the first place. I think that he lost the clubhouse last year. They covered for him a lot because that's what you do for your teammates, but he is now with the Tigers. And the good thing is, Brett, they get another draft pick. They get a draft pick in the 4th round as a result of this signing.
Yeah, definitely. So I've got the Astros draft picks here, the first 5 rounds. They have the 17th, the 28th, the 57th, the 93rd, the 122nd, and the 155th pick in the so they have these picks in rounds 1 through 5. So these are the Astros picks. This is who they have. And look, this, I think, Eric, this draft is probably the most important draft since 2015 for the Houston Astros. What they do with this draft and where they go from here will say a lot. What Dana Brown does in this draft, I think, will be what they weigh when they consider bringing him back, because he is on a 1 year. He's only here for another year, guaranteed. And also what I think some of his draft picks do this next year. Do they advance? Do they get better? Do they climb the ranks? Ethan Pecco, Walker Yannick, guys like that. Miguel Uola, Kevin Alvarez. Where do these guys end up towards the end of the year? But this draft is the most important since 2015 for the Houston Astros. They've got more picks than they've ever had, and they really have got to hit some home runs with at least that 17th and 28th overall pick.
Well, I'm going to actually go on a limb and say that his job is likely on the line because he is year to year anyway. I know a lot of teachers' contracts, they are, you have to renew the contract at the end of each year. That's kind of how Dana Brown is right now, and Joe Espada. because I guess that's just what Jim Crane wants to do. He doesn't want to lock into any long-term deal. But Dana Brown was brought in to rebuild the farm system.
Yeah.
And it's one of the worst in baseball. Yes, it has produced some pretty good players, some players that will produce at the big league level, but you just haven't really done really great at the draft. Yes, granted, you haven't had all the draft picks you would have wanted, but now you have 6 draft picks in the first 5 rounds. If Dana Brown, A, doesn't hit on some of these guys, and B, if the Astros don't make the playoffs this year, next year, then possibly there's a chance that the Astros will be searching for a new GM fairly soon. But I know it's hard to tell what a draft pick is going to be really like for 3 to 4 years, but I think it's very important for Dana Brown to just make the right pick. You have to balance the future, the near future with the far future. You have to look ahead with some high school kids, but also you have to look ahead for some college kids, some kids that could possibly help in the next few years.
Yeah, you're going to need more immediate impact guys.
Right.
Look, the bottom line is this: the roster construction, you got to look at Dana Brown. That's his job. What roster you roll out on a day-to-day basis, that's Joe Espada's job. If the Astros don't go to the playoffs this year, Joe Espada, there's no way they bring him back. I just don't see how you can have a guy that not only gets knocked out of the playoffs early, but misses the playoffs 2 years in a row and justify bringing him back. I know last year was kind of a fluke year with all the injuries and stuff, Eric. But to me, you've got to maybe just resurface what you're doing and refocus where you're going. Now, I may be wrong, and my calculus may be off, but the Astros, I know, are focused on getting back to winning the division, because no matter what we say as Astros fans or Astros Nation, they are not the favorites going into 2026. And if you think they are, that's just you wearing Astros colored glasses. And I'm the biggest, I get accused of being a homer all the time. And I'm the always positive, always Stros guy. You have to nod your head in full agreement, bro. I'm not asking you to co-sign on it with your head nod. Good Lord, that was a cosign. He's like, anyway, I'm exaggerating, but Eric's not. I am. But at the end of the day, the Astros have the division on their mind. They have getting into the playoffs. They have staying healthy. And that is a big thing. Carlos Correa talked about that. You know, I'm excited. I hope y'all come back here in a little bit, probably around 10 o'clock. It'll air tonight. My interview with several Houston Astros player and a former Astro, a current Hall of Famer, Jeff Kent. I interviewed him as well. So that'll be fun to hear what they have to say. Some of the young guns, a vet and a former Astro. It'll be fun to listen to.
All right, so for everybody watching this live, and Brett, I want your reaction. I'm not sure if you actually saw this. I'm not going to read the whole report, but Buster Olney actually reported this. He said that with all the chatter with the Red Sox and the Astros, it's very intriguing. That Paredes he's a perfect fit over there, exactly what the Red Sox need. But at the same time, with all the AL contenders like the Mariners, the Yankees, the Blue Jays in the mix, that possibly it could be the Astros and the Red Sox fighting for the same playoff spot later on. Then Ken Rosenthal added something. He said that it's impossible to see the Red Sox not trying to add somebody like Isaac Paredes, because of the fact that they don't really have anybody to play third base. It just makes too much sense that they try to get the deal done.
Yeah, definitely. No, I actually kind of retweeted Buster Olney's tweet and said, it's kind of interesting. You know, I've talked about the Astros and the Red Sox being in trade talks for about a month. And when I did, I think I even made it on Bad Take Boulevard with Jeremy Brenham. So I'm glad I could provide content for ESPN 97.5. That was nice. But seriously, look, if the package is right, the Houston Astros will make this trade. If the package is not right, they won't. I honestly think, Eric, this is a guy that you have to have in your lineup. This is a guy that you have to bring back. And with you, with the injury history you have the last 2 seasons, you're just going to have to figure out the tough math, the calculus of getting everybody between 130 to 150 games in this season. And they're going to have to be big boys and suck it up, not playing every day.
Yeah, and the problem is, yeah, you can have an off day here or there for some of these professional players, but these veterans, like playing only 130 games unless there's an injury, that's not going to really go over well. And so you want to get more playing time. And I know a lot of people said, well, there's always going to be injuries. And you don't want to go into a season and say, hey, let's go and keep all these extra players just because of injuries. And so Dana Brown is perfectly aware of where this team is, and other teams are perfectly aware. And you talked about yesterday, the left-handed hitter. They would like to add another left-handed hitter, possibly an outfielder. And it just seems like there's just such a perfect match. You got Duran and Abreu in Boston. And yes, both sides are asking for the moon, but at the same time, but the players are instant impact at both directions. You have a surplus of outfielders in Boston. You have a surplus of infielders in Houston. So it just makes too much sense. Do we want Paredes to go anywhere? No, but it just makes sense.
No, it does. It does make way too much sense. But then again, Eric, I'm gonna continue to be on the hill of, you know what? I want Isaac Paredes to stay in Houston. And I want to thank y'all for tuning in today to Locked On Astros. Look, the next show, we're going to be talking about going into this season, what this roster is going to look like, who's going to be reporting for pitchers and catchers. So make sure you subscribe and follow Locked On Astros so you can get all the latest episodes. If you never miss an episode, the Everyday Air Club is built for you. So get Locked On Astros ad-free, plus members-only Discord access and so much more. Subtext with Eric and I. And just head over to lockedonastros.supercast.com. And for those of you on video, we send you to the first ever 24/7 national Locked On Podcast Network YouTube channel. On audio, make sure you make your second listen Locked On Locked On Fantasy Baseball.
All right, guys, we'll go and see you tomorrow. And Brett,
go Stros.
Go Stros.
Did you hear me yell at Milo earlier?
Yes, we all did.
My bad. I thought I muted my mic.